The business, motherfucker.
The Daily Read. Your source for news, politics, sports, and all things trending. Here's your host, Marcus Gentry.
If I steal from the rich and feed to the poor, is that good or bad? If I drive over the speed limit to get my sick child to the hospital, is that good or is that bad? What is good and what is bad? What is morality? And do you, as a person, have morals?
Welcome to the Daily Read, and I am your host, Marcus Gentry. Today is going to be another controversial show, people. This show I'm dedicating to the brothers and sisters of the craft. I got to do this for you guys because somebody seemingly has tapped my phone. Both of them. And I've been knowing for a while, not saying that they did it, but I've been knowing for a while that my phones have been tapped. It could be the police for all I know. You know, when you get to talking about politics and political officials and stuff like that, and then I already had an attempt on my life earlier, late last year. So when you get to dealing with stuff like this, you're going to run into all kinds of stuff. And then you got people that flat out don't like me as it is. But it's okay. Today, we're going to talk about morals. Morals, the foundation of what a lot of charitable people do in society. And some of us wrestle with that idea of morality. And I got a notion that some people feel like since they tap my phone, they're trying to prove that I'm not a good guy. Or they're trying to prove that I'm some kind of bad guy. I don't know. Don't really care anymore. Like I said, I've been knowing for a while. And the thing about it, whoever did it, where your morals at? That's an invasion of privacy. You see, everybody has their own ethics and codes. And people are looking for a gotcha moment. You can't get that gotcha moment with me. The reason why is because if I tell you, if a woman smacks me in my face, I'm going to smack her back. You're going to see it live in person if she smacks me. So if I say it on air, I meant it. So there is no gotcha moment. And that's why I wanted to do this show, because ethics and morality ebbs and flows by the change in times, as you're going to find out today. Let's get to this next clip, because this is going to be, like I said, a controversial show, and a lot of people feel like I'm not worthy. None of us are perfect. None of us. I wanted to meet this woman in Kansas City, and she trashed me so bad on social media. And I be in Kansas City all the time. I got 2 or 3 spots in Kansas that I eat at and kick it. And I reached out, and we had a long conversation. It was about an hour long. And she seems like a wonderful person. You know, I could tell she can get with the shit if she needs to, but she seems like a wonderful person. And I said that to let people know that a lot of people judge you by what other people say or what other people think of you, without even stopping to say this person might not like this person because of this. Until you actually be around me, then you will see. He's a very charitable person. He talks shit, but he get that from his family. You go to our family reunions and we live. Dominoes, spades, shit talking, trash talking, barbecue, brown liquor. It's a few drink the white, and everybody smoking. We live. We ain't perfect. But let's get back to this video. Morality. Let's talk about it.
Morality is what society treats as right and acceptable. They're the standards of thoughts, behaviors, and actions that everyone in a group agrees to follow so that they can all live peacefully. When you define it like that, morality does sound like law. However, while the law is influenced by morals, they're not the same. Stealing is against the law. Whether you're stealing from the rich or from the poor, stealing is a crime. However, a lot of people would consider stealing a piece of bread to save a homeless person from dying of hunger moral. Driving over the speed limit is a crime, but when it could help save the life of a child in the backseat of your car, it becomes the most noble of actions. Trespassing is a crime, but when there's a storm coming and you don't have anywhere to go, hiding under the shade of someone's porch will definitely not get you in society's black book. On the flip side, there are also some things that are considered immoral, but are not criminal. Cheating on a test is a crime, but cheating on a partner is not. However, both of them would most likely be considered immoral.
I'm gonna stop that right there. He just gave some good examples. He just gave some good examples of things that are against the law, but not necessarily moral, and vice versa. And see, people often judge you by the things you do, but let's look at that. The things you do. You got people out here having extramarital sex. You got people out here having sex out of wedlock. It's not against the law, but is it morally correct? Is it morally correct? Remember, morals is the basis of what we do if you're talking about the craft. So my morality is in question. There's a lot of people's morality in question. But I guess since a person is at the low end of the totem pole, it's different from him. That's what you call a classic case of classism. When you all supposed to be one, brotherhood and sisterhood. Let's get back into this video. This is some good stuff. I found this video just recently.
Breaking a promise is one of the most immoral things you can do. But unless it was a written agreement about a business contract, you normally won't get into trouble with the law for it. Although law and morality are different, they're quite similar in many ways actually. Both morality and law are built on the foundation of respect for all humans, as well as the autonomy of life, property, and beliefs. They're also both there to guide the behaviors of people living in a community so everyone can live together in the most peaceful ways possible. Just that one is written, and the other is usually unspoken. I made an entire video about unspoken rules in society, and most of them are simply our moral obligations as members of that society. More often than not, the law expresses the morality of that time and place. Just a few years ago, it was illegal to smoke weed almost anywhere in the United States. However, as morality shifted towards tolerance for people to enjoy it, so did the law. Now, whether they did that for moral reasons or simply because they can tax it at a pretty high rate is a different discussion entirely, But anyways, as humans evolve and learn new things, our morals change. This is why morality isn't stagnant. It evolves with time as people share their experiences and beliefs about the world. Think about issues like premarital sex, same-sex relationships, abortion, marijuana use. These are all things that were considered immoral long ago, but today, society is beginning to accept all of these as moral. We've learned to be tolerant of people regardless of their personal beliefs or preferences. And while not everyone might agree to all of these things or practice it themselves, things seem to have flipped, and it's now considered immoral to criticize the people who choose to live these lifestyles.
I'm gonna stop that right there. He named off quite a few things that 20 years ago, they used to have this thing called gay bashing, where if you got caught walking down the street holding another man's hand, people would literally jump on you. They called that gay bashing. Marijuana. They used to call the pot smokers the hippies, and people in society hated them. Now everybody smokes. Everybody smokes. Except for me. But I guess I'm amoral now. And let's look at that. It's been countless women that I've dated that smoke weed, and they look at me like, you don't smoke? Like I'm trash or something. I'm like, nah, I don't smoke. This is natural. And they look at you different. Remember, in the 50s and 40s, smoking marijuana was like, you're trash. You're a trash hippie. And people didn't want you around. Let's continue on with this.
Throughout human history, morality tended to have been tied to religious traditions. However, now more than ever, we're moving to a place where morality is no longer tied to religion whatsoever. It's more of what the social norm is, and how you operate around that social norm. We now recognize the need for secular morality that transcends people's personal beliefs, and is instead seeking the good of the general public. However, there is one argument against this type of morality: the idea of subjective morality. You see, there have always been debates about whether morality is subjective or objective, usually in religious or philosophical spheres. People who believe that morality is objective often say that if morality becomes subjective, everyone can simply create their own morality, and then we can never say that they're wrong about anything. Because who are we to say that their own definition of morality isn't the right one? And while there is some truth in that, there still are of course many flaws in that argument. If morality is objective, there needs to be substantial similarities in what every culture considers correct and acceptable, as well as actions that are also considered taboo universally. But it is almost impossible to find a moral issue that every culture in the world agrees to, even murder.
Subjective or objective? Morality based off of subjectiveness or objectiveness? It reminds me of when you have a situation. I talked about this. I think I repeated this to a guy. He probably wanted to hate us, but anyway, he called me, and I already knew he was seeking information, trying to get me online, and he probably recorded the conversation, all that. I don't care. But I told him, I said, you got two situations. My morals, if I see a woman slap a man and he slap her back and doesn't beat her down to the ground, and they both just stare at each other, I'm not getting involved in that at all. But then you got some other people who have morals where if a woman slaps a man and he slaps her back, they might group up and jump on him. There are places in Europe. I was looking at some videos at a tavern, at a bar in Europe, where this woman was going crazy. She was drunk and she was harassing this guy, and she hauled off and slapped him, and he immediately slapped her back. She fell on her butt, held her face, got up and staggered off. It was at least 20 men in that bar. They just looked, and not one of them stood up and did nothing. Now, reverse that and put that in America. This is where subjective and objective come in at. Because if morality is objective, that means everybody has to have a universal code on morality. And there is no universal code on morality. It's not. There are some countries that will execute you for having drugs. Matter of fact, I think China. I think China's one of them countries. They would literally execute you if you get caught with drugs. By American standards, that's brutality and amoral to execute somebody for drugs. Not murder, but drugs. They looking at us like we're amoral for letting all the drugs flow through this country. Remember, it's a discussion about, is morality subjective or objective? And the reason I'm doing this show is for two reasons. Like I said, not only had I had an attempt on my life last year, but this year, you know, people are tapping my phones. This is crazy. And I almost get a sense that there are some people somewhere who are trying to see if I'm worthy or something. I don't know. But it's strange. Like, whatever you want to know about me, you can call me and ask me, have a conversation with me. And we can have an hour-long conversation, just like I had with that lady in Kansas City. And we had a very pleasant conversation. Very pleasant. But I can tell she probably got kind of mad when I said that I would take my belt off if a woman got crazy and tried to hit me or spit in my face. I would whip her with my belt. I'm not going to beat her up. I'm not going to punch her in the eye. But by the time the police get there, she going to have her ass whooping. Like grandma used to do. Just like grandma used to do, where you fall on the ground, you get to kicking your legs out trying to get away from that belt. I'm giving one of them ass whoopings out. If a woman spit in my face, I'm gonna whoop her ass. Not with my fist, but she gonna get this belt. Remember, morality. Is it subjective or objective? Let's continue on.
Think about Nazi Germany and how it was thought of as moral to kill in that culture. Think about cultures that practice cannibalism or still make human sacrifices to their deity to this day. If even the most barbaric of actions aren't considered barbaric in every culture, how can we possibly say that morality is objective? Another problem with the argument of objective morality is that for morality to be objective, it has to be defined by an outside entity. In other words, a god, or at least something that is hard-coded into all of us as humans. But in that case, most religions do not agree on the rules that have been given by their god. In fact, even within religions, not everyone agrees to or follows the same set of rules. So how do we then determine which group of people are right about what is wrong? When people think of objective morality, what they're actually talking about is cosmopolitan morality. Because the world is now so connected, we're more open to new and diverse experiences. Experiences that are helping us shape a new definition of morality. One that we can all agree on. But as we've seen in the past, getting everyone to agree on something is relatively impossible. This type of morality only exists on the internet, the biggest cosmopolitan metropolis. But when you step outside and look into the real world, into the billions of people that are not connected to the internet, you'll be met with a vast difference in what is considered right and what is considered wrong. Delphi, named after the ancient Greek oracle, is a simple artificial intelligence system that has been designed to make moral and ethical judgments. The Allen Institute built Delphi to answer one question: can machines learn morality? On the surface, it might seem like a simple question with a straightforward answer, but research done on Delphi says otherwise. Delphi was once accessed by a group of human judges, and they determined that her ethical judgments were around 92% correct. Correct being decisions that humans are likely to make in the same scenario. When Delphi was released into the wild via the internet, a lot more people agreed with what these human judgments thought of Delphi. Yes, she wasn't perfect, but even humans aren't perfect moral beings. As we gain new experiences and begin to understand the life and struggles of others, we learn more and become wiser in our judgments. But you see, there are two main problems with Delphi and other AI systems like her. First, because Delphi was created by humans, she can quickly become as flawed and prejudiced as the people who created her. The creators of Delphi were ones who chose the ethical scenarios that would be used in the system. They also chose the people who would judge these scenarios. This means that, at least in part, Delphi is a product of the morality of her creators. So, until we can find a way to eradicate the prejudices that currently exist in our world, whatever AI we create will continue to express those thoughts. But this time, we won't have anyone to hold accountable. Secondly, you see, morality is not just critical analysis. Morality is intertwined with emotion, attachments between friends, partners, parents, and children. These are the foundations on which morality stands. Take away the emotions, and all you're left with is critical analysis, and decision-making based on cost and reward. And this is simply not morality. This is why when Delphi was asked, "Is it right to leave one's body to science?" she responded with yes. On paper, the benefits outweigh the cost. But it is only when we look at it through a lens of both emotions and logical reasoning that we realize the human life is far greater than any benefit, especially when there are other explorable options. More and more, we're seeing lawyers defend their cases using MRI scans and the neurology side of morality. Because let's say a certain person was making life decisions while at the same time having a massive brain tumor affecting their thought processes. If the person was not capable of making a moral decision due to medical conditions beyond their knowledge, can we even blame them for their actions? Morality is a function of the brain. If the area of the brain just behind the forehead, inches away from the eyes, gets damaged, a person's moral judgment can completely change. Their moral judgment, especially in life or death situations, becomes warped. They're willing to take a life as long as it's done to save another. In a study, people with this type of injury were willing to strangle a baby as long as it would save someone else's life. It's vile and unthinkable to you because you feel compassion, guilt, and embarrassment. But when the ventromedial prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for creating these emotions, is damaged, so is your moral compass. Without the emotional system being in place, we're just like Delphi, left only with the ability to make utilitarian cost-benefit analyses. So, as long as we're saving one life, taking another seems completely fair.
That's deep. That's deep. Now, you got some people out here that would say taking a life, period, is amoral. Okay? This goes back to the whole abortion case. Okay, you got people who feel like life is started at conception when the egg is fertilized. And then you have other people who are saying that the baby is not alive until it actually has its own heartbeat inside the womb. Who's right? That goes by your set of morals. So morals is subjective, not objective. Because if it's objective, that means everybody follows by the same moral code. And it's impossible to do that. Impossible. Because me personally, I feel like until the baby has a heartbeat, it's not alive. You have other people who think just because the baby has a heartbeat, if it can't survive outside the womb, it's not alive yet. It's still attached to the mother. I'm not going to go that far. I feel like if a baby has a heartbeat inside the womb, it's alive. But if you ever seen a fetus, it looks like a seahorse in the ocean. It looks like a seahorse. That cannot live outside the woman's body. It can't. If you take a embryo out of a woman's body, it will eventually die. It cannot live outside the woman's body. So it's still attached to that woman. It's a part of her until it has its own heartbeat. That's what my morals tell me. And I'm sure there's going to be people who listening to this program who disagree with that. This is what he's saying. You got some people who are willing to sacrifice a life to save a life. This is for those judgy people out there who feel like they want to might judge me on moral standards. Let's get back into it.
Only when you look at it through the eyes of compassion, through the lens of morality, do you realize it's immoral and barbaric. So if morality can be affected by our biological makeup, what is morality? Biological or cultural? In truth, it's both. Biologically, what distinguishes us from other animals is our ability to make moral judgments, and this ability is down to three things. We can anticipate the consequences of our actions, we can make value judgments, and we can choose between alternative courses of action. These three things work together to give us the ability to make moral decisions. However, while the ability to make moral decisions is biological, moral codes of conduct are strictly culture, built out of the need to cohabit successfully. That's why every culture has its own morality. It's a complex thing. Just like every human is on a different journey of life, we are all guided on that journey by different moral compasses. This is why morality is a difficult subject to talk about. Because no matter what you say, there will always be some people that disagree with you. What some people consider moral, others consider immoral. What some people consider justice, others think of as revenge. But getting everyone to agree on a set of guidelines to follow should not be the only end goal of talking about morality. Because while we might not get all the answers we want or a clear path we should all follow, discussions on morality, how it's formed, and how it affects us, can give us a look into the lives of others, and give us insight on how we should live our own. It helps us learn how others think, why they act the way they do, and why some people fight forcefully against certain ideas and beliefs, and hold on dearly to some others. Talking about morality, in a sense, makes us all more moral, because it teaches us why we are the way we are, and how we can improve upon that. Morality is not measured in absolutes, but fractions of different pieces from different places that make up the whole pie we have come to know as humanity.
I like that. Humanity. That's deep. That's deep. Humanity makes up a lot of different moral standards. It makes up a lot of different moral standards. And I know women that will not beat their kids. Like, maybe I'm using a strong word. I'm gonna change that. Whip their kids, not beat. whip their kids. I'm not against it. You know, we got butt whoopings, and that don't mean our parents didn't love us. But like he said earlier in the video, morality shifts with the change of time. We used to have paddlings in school. Now it's taboo to paddle somebody else's child. You'll have parents up there ready to strangle your neck if you whoop their kids. They'll tell you, I don't even whoop my kids. I ain't finna let you whoop them. You know, morality is subjective, not objective. You know, what works for you, that's for you. I saw a woman in a video, I wish I can find it. She beat this man. It was like a little freaknik going on outside of a gas station. It was about 30 cars out there. They all had their music on, and there was girls out there with the booty shorts on, a couple of guys out there, and this woman jumped out on her boyfriend and was just hitting him all in the back of his head, kicking him in his butt. And she was a stout woman. He was skinny as a pole, and he just kept walking away. He just kept walking away. Nobody moved to interfere with her. Nobody jumped in and said, hey, leave that man alone. They laughed. They cracked jokes. If that role was reversed and that man was beating that woman down in that street, he probably would have had women and men jumping on him. The morality of that. Think about that. Let's continue on. Like I say, this is some good stuff. This is a good topic. I love it.
Today's video was sponsored by Brilliant, one of the best places online to learn anything and everything STEM related. Part of understanding morality is being able to view things from an objective standpoint, being able to take in all the information at your disposal, and finding where you fit into that subjectively. It's not too far off from science in a sense, where you have to view the bigger picture before going in and discovering the tiny pieces that make up the whole. It's all a matter of perspective, a matter of mindset, and how you approach things. If you like science and math and figuring out how things work, then Brilliant could be perfect for you. Brilliant is an interactive STEM learning platform that helps you learn concepts by working through them in visual, hands-on ways. Their extensive course catalog is constantly expanding to include even more lessons that help you learn in the best way possible. For example, earlier in this video we spoke about the AI known as Delphi. Delphi, like all AI, were in part created by humans. By learning more about artificial intelligence and how we can help train them to become more like humans, we learn more about ourselves and what is truly important in life. If you're interested in things like this, Brilliant has an entire course on machine learning, a critical part in understanding how AI systems are developed. If you're interested in learning more, I highly suggest you check out Brilliant. It's free to start, but the first 1,000 people to visit brilliant.org/aperture will get 20% off a premium subscription, which unlocks every single course Brilliant has to offer.
I'm gonna stop that right there. I've given him enough advertising for Brilliant. That's a good deal. But you know, I'm gonna keep this show today short and sweet because, you know, like I said, I don't know if the people that tapping my phone, you know, I think I know who the people are, and it's laughable because you need to look at yourself before you judge me for being amoral or a amoral person. Just the idea of you tapping my phone is an invasion of my privacy. That's amoral to me. It's amoral to me. And it's strange how a person can try to judge you on your morals when they lack that in certain aspects of their life. Remember that. This is the Daily Read, and I'm out.
The business, motherfucker.
The Daily Read.
Bring in the business.